Yo, what's up guys? Mike here, coming at you from the mushroom farm, and I got a great video for you guys today. So this is a Pleurotus populinus, the Aspen oyster, okay? So I'm going to talk to you guys about why I grow the Aspen oyster, why I think you should grow the Aspen oyster, what some of the cool things are about this mushroom, what the growing conditions are for this mushroom, the incubation period. We're going to cover all those things. And I also want to say, if you want to pick up any of these liquid cultures to grow the Aspen oyster yourself, just click down in the description box below. You can find my website. You can go there and you can get this exact strain and you can grow the Aspen oyster mushroom yourself. And I want to also say, I'm a full-time mushroom farmer, okay? So if you're new to this channel and you're just now tuning in, this is my full-time job. I've been growing mushrooms 8 years, and I just grow really good mushrooms, sell them at farmers markets. This is actually my house, okay? So I live in the mushroom farm. But anyway, guys, I'm very experienced with mushrooms, and if you're into mushrooms and farming, make sure you click that subscribe button right now so you get more mushroom and farming videos like this in the future. But anyway, let's talk about this Aspen oyster a little bit, because this is one of my favorites, okay? So super cool mushroom. First of all, like, look how big this thing is, okay? Like, and also its texture. I'd say, like, a couple of the really just cool traits in general about this mushroom that I really like is just the color and appearance, because, like, wow. And then second, the texture. Like, when you feel this Aspen oyster mushroom compared to a blue oyster or any other type of oyster, a pink oyster, gold oyster, you will notice this texture is unique. It's very meaty, it's thick, it's nice, man. Like, it's really similar to my King Blue, but it's actually, this is even a little more robust. And the way this thing likes to grow, like, look, I mean, it's beautiful, but it likes to make, I like to do a top fruit. So I did a top fruit with this one. I basically cut a little 2-inch by 2-inch square rectangle in the top of the bag, and then I just placed it on my shelf in the grow room, right in there. These fruit in about the same time period as a blue oyster, maybe just slightly longer, okay? I like to let these things go in incubation quite a while. I like to let it start pinning in the bag just a little bit. So in between 2 to 3 weeks or so, I like to let it just start pinning in the bag though, and then that's when I cut that 2x2 hole, put it in the grow room, and you get some, like, really nice, like I said, when you do top fruits, you get these kind of like rosette looking type of big petally structures. If you do a side fruit, they turn out a little bit different, but what I've noticed with this strain, they tend to always really give me personally really big mushrooms. And they look really cool in, like, just whether it's a single box, if you're selling these just by themselves. I will say they may give you trouble fitting them in a box. You got to make sure you get a box big enough for these things, or just making sure you're selling them appropriately somehow, because these are seriously some big mushrooms. So, like, side by side, my hand, okay? This is, like, not a photo trick. This is how big the mushroom is compared to my hand. And I'm not a small dude either. I'm right at about 6 foot, so these are just big mushrooms, guys. I used to not grow a whole lot of this mushroom. I'd kind of, like, sporadically put it in, okay? And then when I had my mushroom retail shop, right? Check out my mushroom retail shop. I'll just roll a couple little pictures, just so those of you who didn't know, I own this mushroom retail shop in the city of St. Louis also for 3 years. I don't own it anymore. I don't know that I'll go down that rabbit hole again. If I do, I feel like the best way is to do it as, like, a real estate investment and like, own the building, okay? We'll talk about that in other videos, like more business oriented videos. But one of the things that I learned when I owned that mushroom retail shop is that people really like this mushroom. Every time I would grow a little batch of this, I'd be like, oh, hey, here, try this, you know what I mean? And I might suggest it to one of my customers, and, like, sure enough, they'd come back asking for more of it, and then I might be like, oh boy, I'm out of it right now. I didn't really grow that much of it. So I started growing more of it kind of on a regular basis, just because its texture is really unique. It's unlike other oyster mushrooms. Like I said, it's really meaty. It's got a real nice structure to it. It feels, like, so smooth and, like, kind of like velvety. It's, like, not like the Black Pearl King, but it's kind of close. It's got this, like, kind of softness to it. And anyway, cool mushroom overall. Really good yield. You can get close to 2 pounds or around 2 pounds or so on these 10-pound blocks, no problem. And just for the looks of it, especially if you're a farmer's market seller, this is a really good mushroom to have. Here's just a couple pictures. I want you guys to see pictures of this mushroom in some of my mix boxes, because I just feel like the color, when it kind of contrasts with some of the other mushrooms, plus, like, the shape and the structure and just the pattern of this, it just looks, like, really cool and really artistic in the mix boxes. So I've kind of always been a fan of it in the mix boxes. Its shelf life is also really good, okay? So it'll store similar to, like, a blue oyster you could keep this mushroom for close to like a week. I always sell them as fresh as possible, but just because of the structure, look how like robust. Let's see if the camera will pick it up. But yeah, just a really robust mushroom. They do well under refrigeration. I like to put them in like a cardboard box or a tote and then just put them straight in the refrigeration after I harvest them. That's pretty much the best way to do it. And just a note about the texture on these things, they're really, like I said, meaty and robust. The base of the stem is a little tough, okay? So like once you get the handle in this mushroom, you'll feel it. But the very bottom of that stem, and they don't really have much of a stem. This mushroom, it grows. If you look at it, it's really close. If you've grown Pleurotus d'Ajamor or the pink oyster mushroom, or you're familiar with Pleurotus d'Ajamor, you can tell it kind of has a structure similar to that, where it doesn't really have much of a stem down there, but that base is kind of tough. So I tell everybody kind of feel around that base, trim where you feel like it's appropriate, you know what I mean? Kind of like a stalk of asparagus. You know how like the very bottoms are really hard and stuff like that. You don't want to eat them, but you can snap it at the right point, and that's a really good edible spot. And then you kind of get like the most edibleness out of the mushroom, but you don't get that really tough part at the bottom. But trim the mushrooms, that's what I kind of say, trim the bottom of these off, just so you don't deal with that really tough part. But you can kind of see, like I said, close to the structure of a pink, but that's just something to be aware of when you're cooking it. I kind of like to just tear down the gills, actually. Like once I actually cut the mushroom off the block, like if I'm getting ready to prepare a mushroom like this, sometimes I just like to split the gills, you know, right in half, and tear this thing into like 1/4-inch strips or so. And that way it's really nice for sauteing. You can bread and fry like an appetizer. That's really good too. You can also put this in like, I like it on the grill, kind of like in a packet, you know, kind of with other vegetables, like a vegetable medley. That's really good. But there's a myriad of ways how you guys could prepare this Aspen oyster mushroom. Super versatile, but that's just a little bit on the texture of this mushroom. I've been fruiting these things pretty much around 65 degrees or so in here, 60 to 65, kind of in that zone. I've also fruited this one like in the 50s, so it's got a pretty wide range. I'd say this one grows pretty well in between about like 50 and probably up to 75 degrees. I don't like to get the rooms too much over 70 though, just because you start having more problems, but this one is a pretty wide range temperature, I would say, overall. But anyway, like I said, if you guys want to pick up the Aspen Oyster, just head over to my website, link down in the description box below, and you can get the Aspen Oyster and grow it yourself. I'm a big fan of it. It's a good one. So that's just a little information on the Aspen Oyster mushroom. If you guys got any questions for me or anything like that, drop it down below in that comment section. I'll answer all your questions. Also, I want to say, if you didn't get entered in my subscriber giveaway, just look back in the last video I just did. It's a subscriber giveaway video. All you have to do is comment, and you're entered in the subscriber giveaway. So check that out. But hopefully you guys found this video helpful and informative. And if you did, please drop this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But that's all I got for you on this one, and I will catch you guys on the next one.